direction. I need something heavy to keep my sanity. I need some satisfaction. It could be a case of ice cold beer, 17 women trying to hold me near. Sometimes it takes a mighty sad pine to get that feeling. Lord, I keep on trying to eat something.
Out of the ozone. This is one of the new ones. Yeah. All right. I guess it was long about a year ago that my daughter Hannah, a teenager, and do I need to say more to the older ones in the crowd? She was a teenager. She introduced me to MySpace. And I said, don't you think I might be too old to do MySpace because it's all kids? She said, no, because there's a lot of rock and roll bands on there now. And I think some of them might even be as old as you. I said, is there any Winters Brothers on there? Because I got no, they as old as me. And I said, well, what about some Tommy Crane? Because Tommy Crane's only 5 years younger than me. I'm starting to get all these people coming to the MySpace thing, wanting to be my friend. I love it. I don't think anybody else on MySpace gets friends like me. I don't think they do, because I get all these friends. The thing that excited me more than anything, not having Charlie Daniels band as a friend, or Mark Stucker band as a friend, or Winters Brothers, Paris Hilton wanted to be my friend. That's before she became incarcerated. But I fell totally in love with her, and I wrote her a song. I started picturing me and Paris going shopping in New York together at Saks in the big and tall section for clothes, big for me and tall for her. I got her picture in a glued it to the ceiling above my bed. Drives my wife insane. This song is called I Want Paris Hilton to Be My Friend. Let me make sure I'm doing it right. Yes, too, I like a simple life. Live a country house and a loving wife. Once in a while, I let my mind run free, daydreaming about Hollywood royalty. I want to get the party started around 2 a.m. Tomorrow night, I want to do it again. I want to go places where the fun never ends. I want Paris Hilton to be my friend. I want Paris Hilton to be my friend. Yeah, I like playing them honky-tonk bars, cruising around town in my little sports car. But once in a while, I let my mind go free, daydreaming about Hollywood royalty. I want to get the party started around 2 a.m. Tomorrow night, I want to do it again. I want to go places where the fun never ends. I want Paris Hilton to be my friend. I said, I want Paris Hilton to be my friend. Play it. Nicole, Paris, she's just a bitch. You don't need her anyway. Let's face it, you're rich. I want to go places the fun never ends. I want Paris Hilton to be my friend. I want Paris Hilton to be my friend. Yeah, baby. That was just a joke. I really don't like them skinny girls.
I was born in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and my first musical influences as a young man came from my father and my mother. My dad loved a lot of country music, especially Johnny Cash, so I got to hear a lot of Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley. Those two became my immediate heroes. Now my mom also liked Marty Robbins, so I had a lot of country music in my household growing up. Merle Haggard, things like that, Hank Snow, all that type of music. As I got older, of course, when the Beatles came along, I was really hooked on the Beatles as well. Loved them, still do. I had a few little bands here and there early on, but my first, what I'd call serious band, came in the early 1980s, and it was called the Buffalo Hut Coalition, and featured Mr. David Haddix on the drums. The great thing about David was he was the drum teacher for Mr. Paul T. Riddle, founding member of the Marshall Tucker Band. When Paul was 15 years old, Dave was taking him out and letting him play in the jazz clubs and things like that. So I grew up there in Spartanburg, South Carolina, heavily influenced by the Marshall Tucker Band, and that remains one of my most treasured memories.
We're going to bring Charlie up here to play a little bit with us. We're going to bring Tut Tucker up here to play a little bit with us. Thank you very much for sticking with us tonight. And a little bit of Michael B up here too, all right?
Back in 1998, I went into the hospital. I had some major medical problems, and I was in the hospital for over a month. When I got out, I really couldn't do a whole lot of work at that time, and I'd already established an internet presence with my own GeoCities website and all that type of stuff. And I had a fan page up for the Marshall Tucker Band, all that kind of thing. But I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a newsletter about Southern rock, because I was always reading about it and everything like that. And so I started this newsletter, which was called Hot Grits. And within a year, we changed it from Hot Grits to GRITZ on the suggestion of a friend of mine named Marshall Chapman. Marshall Chapman is a sweet lady originally from my hometown. Now she's been in Nashville for years and is a very prominent singer-songwriter and a great girl. I went ahead and did Grits online for a few years and established quite an audience. And then we ended up also doing a print magazine called Grits for 3 years. Because of all this Grits magazine stuff, I ended up meeting a lot of the great heroes that I'd had growing up. Members of the Allman Brothers Band. Of course, I already knew some of the Marshall Tucker Band from previous times, but I got to really know, got to be good friends with Doug Gray after that, and George McCorkle, Paul T. Riddle. Also, you know, meeting all these great people, it was just so exciting, you know. It was a great thing. But I have to say that because of Grits, and of course grits.net is still out there. I got to say that as a plug. Grits.net is a part of swampland.com. But you can go to grits.net and read all the archived interviews all the way back to 1998. Anyway, like I was saying, meeting all these folks and everything, and ending up getting to jam on stage with people, and I mean, it's just been a great thing. And like I said, Grits is a major part of my life.
Let's get Mr. Holly in too.
Let's get Kelvin in here.
Right on.
Y'all ready? Yeah, we're always ready. He's fresh off the road.
Kevin Holly, off of the road.
I gotta head back out in the morning.
From Little Richard to this Pierce Bobby Whitlock. What can you say?
Say Bubba.
Bubba.
All right.
What's that, Daddy?
1992, I was doing a local newspaper in Greenville. It was called Edge Magazine, and we were just having a great time doing interviews with people. Some of my first big interviews that I had the opportunity of doing there included one of my heroes, George Harrison from the Beatles. I got to talk to him about the reissue of the Bangladesh albums, and it was just a rush talking to George, the Quiet Beatle. I mean, also got to talk to Jerry Jeff Walker. I just can't even think of who all back then. Anyway, we recorded the Fairy Tales thing, and then later on in 1997, I recorded an album called Happy to Be Here, and it was all my original songs. I think there were 15 or 16 songs, and I started my trend of trying to pull celebrities into play. My friend Mark Burrell came in to play drums on a few tracks. Mark was the drummer for the Toy Caldwell Band on his album and tours and stuff. And then I had David Haddix, I spoke of earlier, that was in the Buffalo Hut Coalition, and a bunch of my other friends playing on it. It's a fine CD, I believe. It's out of print now. We may reissue it one day. Anyway, I still do a lot of those songs from that record. Then I guess it was, that was 1997. The next one that I recorded was in the year 2000. It was called Midwest Carolina Blues. Now this one came out on the Rockabilly Hall of Fame label. That was quite, it got quite a little push there from Bob Timmers at the Rockabilly Hall of Fame, who had become a friend. And I somehow had ended up in Lincoln, Nebraska. And, it's made a lot of friends up there. It was all because of freelancing for Gold Mine magazine. I was doing a story on the death of Boxcar Willie, which led me to a man named Bobby Lowell, who had established a record label in Lincoln, Nebraska called Roto Records. And Bobby was a rockabilly star from the 50s as well. He had a hit called Baby Baby. And Bobby and I hit it off. Unfortunately, Bobby contracted cancer a year and a half later and passed away. I'd gone up to visit them a couple of times before that, and we'd had all these jam sessions with really great rockabilly stars, and we'd gone to shows and gone to the Zoo Bar many times and seen Bill Kirchen from used to be with Commander Cody Band and all like that. Great fun. Everybody, it was great fun. So the album was to be a tribute to Bobby Lowell after he passed away, and he always loved my blues voice, which I don't know what that means. I guess my blues voice, which is the same as my country voice, except with more blues, I guess. But so I put some of the songs on there that he told me he liked, like Jelly Jelly Blues and things like that, and the Steve Young song Lonesome, Ornery, and Mean that we played in a blues fashion, and the song by Edgar Winter and Jerry LaCroix called Fly Away, the gospel song. We had a whole bunch of folks singing background on it and everything. So I did that album and dedicated it to the memory of the great Bobby Lowell. And thinking about Bobby, I have a little piece of footage here that coming up that from a time we had a picnic and a recording session and everything up at the studio up there in Lincoln. And Bobby had this pair of boots that he wanted to give me. He's always giving me things and giving my wife things. And what a wonderful man he was. He just, as generous as he could be. He gave me the little hula girl that he had on the dashboard of his Cadillac. Just pulled it off and, I want you to have this, Buffalo. And it was just so kind. I still got all that stuff. I cherish it. He gave me his Tribesman he's a member of the Tribesman Motorcycle Club at 70-something years old. How about that? And drove a Harley Davidson and everything. And he gave me his Tribesman ring, several other things that I really cherish, But the one thing that really I'll never forget is the day that he gave me a pair of Tony Lama boots that were given to him by Carl Perkins. So it's real rockabilly history, I wore those things one night out to a show at the Zoo Bar when Bill Kirchen and I can't remember the name of the other band that played, but Bill Kirchen was headlining. After that, I just kept them. I remember taking them back on the plane. I just carried them like they were my overnight bag. and everybody's looking at these hot little boots, you know, and commenting on them and everything. But anyway, coming up, this is the day that he gave them to me. We did like a little photo session for the local newspaper and everything, and ended up on video somehow, but here it is.
I'd like to accept these boots on behalf of the real king of rock and roll, Bobby Lowell. My man. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are going to walk all over you.
CD called Southern Lights, and we recorded this at Mill Kids Studio in Huntsville, Alabama, with my friends the Crawlers. What a wonderful band. It included the late Ray Brand, who became one of my great friends. Unfortunately, we lost him to cancer, just like we lost Bobby Lowell to cancer. But Ray and I co-wrote a bunch of songs together, and he helped to produce the whole thing too. It's great fun, the whole session. Mr. Tommy Crane from the Charlie Daniels Band came down to the session in Huntsville, Alabama, in his pickup truck, full of instruments. I mean, he had a pedal steel, guitar, dobro, everything in there, and he stayed there for 2 days and laid down just all sorts of great stuff on there. We also had Bonnie Bramlett, who drove down from Nashville. Bonnie Bramlett was the headliner on the first night, a two-night thing, like I say. We had the Crawlers, we had the Blues Brothers Heart and Soul Review, that's like one of the best Blues Brothers cover bands ever. We had the Crawlers rocking their set out, and we had my set. We had John D. Weicker, who played on the album, Sail Cat, that had the hit Motorcycle Mama back in 1972, for those of you keeping score at home. And Weicker also wrote Baby Ruth. It was recorded by Delbert McClinton. And oh man, he's just a great guy, very eccentric, a great friend of the late Eddie Hinton, who played into my life a little bit later on too. But the Southern Lights party, the next night, we had George McCorkle down there, and I was just honored to play with George and Pete Guitar Car, in an acoustic setting. We did some tunes. Came time to do George's signature song, Fire on the Mountain, and he just looks over and says, "Buffalo, why don't you sing it?" Well, you know, that was one of the big moments of my life right there too. But Southern Lights, I still get comments about that CD, and I think we all did a good job together. We had a great time. For my next CD, I went back to my friends at Mill Kids Studio, Billy Tyke Miller and everybody, and we just had a great time recording an album called Something Heavy. Now that is an appropriate title, and we'll not do the jokes right now, okay? But Something Heavy is one of the many great songs written by the late, great Eddie Hinton, and I had a great time. In these sessions, we recorded a lot of originals, and we did covers of David Allan Coe's Jack Daniels, If You Please, and we did a cover of a Meatloaf song written by Jim Steinman and Meatloaf. 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad. Y'all probably remember that. We tried to do a country version of it, and it was also great fun. Let's see, in those sessions, my special guests included George McCorkle from the original Marshall Tucker Band, who played a lot of great guitar stuff. Also, John D. Weicker, once again, was returning, as was the great Pete Carr, who had played on the last album as well. Also, a dear sweetheart, JoJo Billingsley, who is one of Ronnie Van Zant's honkettes that sang backup with Skinner. She came in and she just put it down. She sang along with another friend of ours, Rodeo Jan Elkin from Huntsville. They did all the female vocals on everything, and just did a fantastic job. Danny Hall, great guitar player. Of course, the Crawlers, Ray Brand, Owen Brown on the bass. Man, everybody, just great people. John Huber on guitar. Oh, I hope I'm not leaving anybody out, but we had a great time doing Something Heavy, and I ended up dedicating that album to another friend. It seemed like for a while there I was losing friends right and left, you know. My buddy Jackson Spires from Blackfoot had passed away, and unfortunately, right about the time I did the album, it has a Native American motif, feather on the front, and got a picture on the inside of myself with Jackson, and dedicated the album to him. I love everyone that was involved in it dearly. Folks are asking me, Buffalo, what you got going on next? Well, number one priority is right now, Grits has been absorbed into this great thing called swampland.com, but it's also its own thing, so you can still go to www.grits.net, and we've got interviews coming up, new interviews. We've got a new interview up with Mark Ford. We're doing interviews with Tommy Talton and Scott Boyer. We're doing interviews with everybody. Plus, every interview and feature and review we've had in the past 8 years is now available at grits.net, right? Also, music, I'm writing new songs, and all things like that. You heard one of them earlier in the video, of the Paris Hilton song, and but I'm writing a lot of other ones and getting stuff together to record my next album, which I hope will be recorded right here in Macon, Georgia, and I'm pretty sure that Paul Hornsby, the great Paul Hornsby, will be producing, and we're going to have just a plethora of Southern rock royalty coming in and playing on the record, and that'll fulfill a dream for me too, because even as I sit here right now, I'm in Macon, Georgia, with my friend Dave Peck, and it's just a great place with a lot of history of Southern rock. Yeah, it's the capital, Southern rock capital. The brothers came from here. What can I say? And anyhow, gonna be working on the new album and working on lots of other projects. Trying to get back into acting, working on some script writing, lots of things. Check out michaelbuffalo.com for more information on what's going on and all like that. But I appreciate y'all watching my video today. I really do. I got a couple more things coming up. I hope you'll watch it all the way through the end. This last musical clip was just shot a couple weeks ago up in Nashville at the Winters Brothers Jam, and I had the opportunity of doing one of my favorite old songs, "Will the Circle Be Unbroken?" And the great thing is I got to play with both Dennis and Donnie, the Winters Brothers, and Dennis's daughters, the Southern Bells, and Tommy Crane from the Charlie Daniels Band. And it was just great fun, like it always is up there. But like I said, appreciate y'all watching this. And in the meantime, just remember, we love you. Peace.
I think Dennis is going to come out and sing with us, and I asked a couple of the Southern Bells earlier. I think we're close enough. We're just going to do an old gospel song, and I know they know it. I was standing by my window on a cold, cloudy day, when I saw that hearse come rolling, Lord, carry my mother away. I said, Mr. Undertaker, won't you please, please drive slow? Cause that woman that you're carrying, Lord, I hate to see her go. Everybody, will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better hope waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I'll play it, man. I said, hallelujah. Winter's Brothers, ladies and gentlemen.
I need something heavy to keep me moving in the right direction. I need something heavy